Greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings, 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 greetings. I know it's a hard live, nothing showing for it, but you're going to be installed with a lesson tonight that deals with 3 days and 3 nights. And it's a lesson that is much needed. It's a lesson that's going to let you know what really happened. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, all right. We are here tonight. Shout out to Brother Brian Johnson, my brother from another mother. Shout out to Sister Marie up in West Palm Beach. Shout out to all of you. Brother Brian is one of our moderators. Shout out to him coming in. Brother Brian, we got Passover this Friday night at 8 o'clock, and my brother lives all the way down. P.m. He lives all the way down west, all the way down west. How you doing, Sister Shanika? Glad that you are able to come in and be with us tonight for a lesson that I know is much needed. Now, what I need to know, I had to reset some things. So can somebody let me know how my volume is and how things are faring on that end? We're live on Facebook. If my volume is okay, just simply give me a thumbs up in the chat room so I know that what we're doing is okay. All right? Just give me a thumbs up. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Facebook and IOG Orlando. We're live on YouTube and just really getting this out. So I had to do a reset, and I'm hoping that everything is coming across okay. So if I'm okay, somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay, sounds good, sounds good. Okay, great. That's what I wanted to see. I'm your teacher tonight. Brother Johnson, Fort Lauderdale, IOG Fort Lauderdale class, right here in Florida, South Florida. And thank you all for tuning in tonight. Let's say hello to everybody in our chat room over there. Let's see. We got, again, Brother Brian Johnson, one of our moderators, my brother from another mother, as I always say, Sister Marie, Sister Shanika. Thank you all for letting us know that things are live and well. Now, we're going to do a lesson tonight that you could perhaps share with individuals who you are trying to get to understand 3 days and 3 nights, how there is no Good Friday. So this lesson was titled Good Wednesday versus Good Friday. There's no such a thing as Good Wednesday, and there's no such a thing as Good Friday, other than people celebrate it and they say Good Friday. And we're going to show you where in the scriptures they got that from. And we're going to show that to you in our lesson tonight, where that whole concept, preparation day, came in. All right? So, but you know how we do it. Before we even get to it, I just want to let you all know that this Friday night, we'll start Passover. We'll be here at 8 o'clock. Orlando will be opening up there at 8 o'clock. I'm sure the doors will probably open up at 7:30. We're going to be tuning in to an awesome lesson that you all don't want to miss. And we're going to be partaking of the Passover. So come on out, brothers and sisters, and you want to be a part of the Passover, okay? And that's Friday night. This Sabbath, Passover, falls on the Sabbath. The Feast of Unleavened Bread falls on the first day of the week this year, which will be the 15th day of Abib, all right? So I see we got Facebook coming in. I see you, Brother Jacob. I see you. Alaska is in the house. Glad you all came in. Nene Williams, thank you for coming in. Brian Israelite Walker, thank you all for coming in. Okay, let's get into this lesson tonight. You know what we always like to do? We always like to start off with a scripture reading. So that's the first thing we got to do is get our scripture reading out of the way. And we're going to go with Psalms 111, verse 10. Psalms 111 and verse 10. And this is what it says. We'll turn it over right now. Psalms 111, verse 10. And this is what it says, brothers and sisters. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. All right? That's our scripture reading tonight. 3 days and 3 nights. Man, listen, I think that we really have to hit why did the world get off track and miss the whole concept of 3 days and 3 nights? And I think it's important to show. I believe it was an honest mistake if you don't know the scriptures and what certain things that are recorded in the books of the testimony, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and what they are referring to. And because people may not understand, the feast days are also holy convocations, also Sabbaths. There's more than just the weekly Sabbath. And if you only know about the weekly Sabbath and you read certain things, you could really get mixed up, not really understanding that you have feast days, Sabbaths, in addition to the weekly Sabbath. So we're going to try to really help with that tonight so that perhaps you could share this lesson with family members that you're trying to get to bring in and to understand 3 days and 3 nights. Now, why is this important? Because I would say 90% of Christian pastors, Roman Christian concept pastors, will say that the day of worship changed from the 7th day Sabbath to the first day of the week because they will say Jesus resurrected on the first day of the week. And because they teach that, if we show you that Jesus did not resurrect on a Sunday, in fact, he resurrected on the Sabbath, and if we show you also that you cannot get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and Sunday morning, I think it will help address a lot of your issues when you are attempting to explain this to family members. And we're going to use the scriptures to do this. Now, let's go first to why Good Friday came in. And I have a little chart I'm going to put up here so you can see it. And I want to bring it right here. I want to bring it right here. People think that Jesus was killed on a Friday. Where do they get that from? And I'm going to show you. And then they count 3 days and 3 nights. And some people say Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I'm going to show you why you can't do that. And because it must be 72 hours. Now, I have a little chart up here that shows some things, but I just wanted to show the Good Friday first. So let's go to the book of John, the 19th chapter, and we're going to show you where people got Friday from. All right? And this is why I called it an honest mistake, because if you don't know, you don't know, and you read things according to what you know. John, the 19th chapter, and let's start off with verse 1 so you can get the location of what we're talking about. Then Pilate, therefore, took Jesus and scourged him, and the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put on him a purple robe. I'm going to skip all of that because I want to get down here to when Jesus had died and what took place after that. Verse 28 says, after this, Jesus, knowing that all things were accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now there was set a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost, meaning he died. But take a look at verse number 31. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. Let's just stop right there and let's highlight this part, the Sabbath day. If we go back to what we showed you, it is known that the 7th day of the week is the Sabbath day. In fact, I can just come over here and put down the word Sabbath. Let's type that right in there. Sabbath day. Okay? Now, this, as you read the scriptures, and it says that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, people miss this little part right here. For that Sabbath day was a high day. What did they mean that that was a high day? What they're saying is this was a Sabbath other than the weekly Sabbath. This particular Sabbath was a special Sabbath. We can go to the book of Leviticus and show you why this particular day was special. And we can simply go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and we're going to show you that verse 4 says, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations. That means they're Sabbaths. And you have to proclaim them. You got to acknowledge them in their seasons. And this is what they say. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. When we simply go back to the book of John, and when we read that they were doing all of this stuff to Jesus in verse 1, brothers and sisters, this was on the 14th day of Abib, which was Passover. And when they say in verse number after he had died. And in verse number 31, it says, the Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation day, that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that day was a high day. We have to go simply back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and show you that the 14th day when Jesus was killed was Passover. But the 15th day, the very next day of the same month, is the Feast of Unleavened Bread unto the Lord. I want to skip down to verse number 7 and notice that it says, in the first day of this 7-day feast, there's a holy convocation. That means it's a Sabbath. That particular day, the very next day, is a Sabbath. So when we go back and we say, wow, that is a Sabbath that is other than the weekly Sabbath, because the weekly Sabbath is right up here. He tells us in the same 23rd chapter, he says, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. That means Sabbaths. Sabbaths. Even these are my feasts. So the first one he tells the children of Israel, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. It is a holy convocation. And this is why we put down right here, 6 days shall you labor, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the 7th day is the Sabbath, and he called it a Sabbath of rest, but it is a holy convocation. So that's why I wrote down right here, Sabbath day, 7th-day Sabbath. All right? So that is the weekly Sabbath. This day right here, where it says day 6, commonly called Friday, is a preparation day before the weekly Sabbath. But a preparation day is also a day before any Sabbath, any holy convocation. You have a preparation, because what are you doing? You are preparing for the Sabbath. So he says 6 days work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. Israel was always told to prepare for the 7th-day Sabbath. So therefore the 6th day is commonly known to be a preparation day before the weekly Sabbath. But when we simply go back and read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter again, we know that the 15th is also a holy convocation. Here we go. The 15th day of the same month, here it is a holy convocation. It's just like this 7th day. It is what? A holy convocation. So, Feast of Unleavened Bread starts on the 15th, and it is a holy convocation. And therefore, the 14th day is a preparation day before the start of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So let's go back to the scriptures. Let's go back to the scriptures. When they killed Jesus on Passover, the Jews, therefore, because it was a preparation day, that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath, they were not talking about the weekly Sabbath, but they were simply talking about the 15th day, which starts the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we read it is also a holy convocation. So that's why in parentheses they say, for that day was an high day, to let you know that it was not, that preparation was not the day before the weekly Sabbath, but it was the preparation day before the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because that particular day, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Holy Convocation would be a high day. If you get that, put a thumbs up in the chat room. If you get that so far, put a thumbs up. Now, let's go take note of something else. And let me just say this. This is why when people see this preparation day, because people don't know about Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. You can also read that in Exodus, the 12th chapter, on your own time. You can read that. We're going to get that lesson this week and this weekend on the day of Feast of Unleavened Bread. But the main part is that a mistake was made simply because if you don't know this, you would think that this preparation day was talking about Friday. The problem is it's incorrect, because now that we know and we're looking at the scriptures, we need to find out what day was Passover on the year that Jesus died. Because Passover being a fixed day, the Feast of Unleavened Bread being the fixed day of the first month, like your birthday, it could be on a Monday, it could be on a Tuesday. Any fixed date can fall on any day of the week. So it would behoove us to find out what was the date that Jesus died on. What day of the week did Jesus die on in the year of his passion? Well, let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at this. You notice I'm going to show you that it was on a Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday. And how are we going to show that? Well, we're going to go to the scriptures and we're going to take a look at it. So let's go back to the scriptures and let's go to the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter. Daniel, the 9th chapter, tells us something. Daniel, the 9th chapter, verse 27, says this. Verse 27, this is what it says. Let's start off with verse I just want to show you this was talking about Jesus. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, talking about Jesus the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks. This is, we're not going to get into this lesson now, but it's basically talking about the 70 weeks. But I want to get down here to this verse. And he, talking about Jesus, shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the middle or in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. That means to stop. What do you mean that Jesus is going to cause the sacrifices and the oblation to cease? Because Isaiah the prophet told us that Jesus would be the one that would be wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquities. So let's go take a look at that. And he tells us right here, he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. I want to skip down some. And the Lord have laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, as a sheep before her shearers is dumb. He opened not his mouth. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Tenth chapter. I'm sorry, the 7th chapter is where I want to go at. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. And I want to show you how Jesus, I said the 7th, this is the 10th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, and it says, moreover, brethren, I would not for you to be ignorant, how that our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized unto Moses in the cloud and the sea. And he did eat that same spiritual meat, and did drink that same spiritual rock, for they drank of that rock that followed them, and that rock was Jesus. But many of them God was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were examples to the intent that we should not lust after evil things as they also lust after. Neither be ye idolaters, as you were some of them, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. And it says, neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed, and fell in one day 23,000. And then he says, neither let us be tempted, as some of them were tempted and were destroyed of serpents. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured and were destroyed of the destroyed. Now all these things happened unto them for our examples, and were written for our admonition upon the ends of the world. So brothers and sisters, when we look at all of this, Jesus was the one that was baptized. We were baptized unto him. That spiritual rock, that was Jesus, and that was the Lamb. That was the Lamb back in Exodus, the 20th chapter. That was the Lamb that we had to deal with. This was the rock that followed them, and that rock that followed them was Jesus. That was the pillar. That was the fire. Jesus was that Passover lamb. Let's go to Exodus, the 12th chapter. He was that Passover lamb. Your lamb should be without blemish, a male of the first year. You should take it from your sheep or from your goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. The whole assembly of the congregation shall kill it in the evening. So when you see that, brothers and sisters, you can see that what's happening is Jesus is that lamb. He's the one. He's the one that took the place. Or we could say that the lamb was a precursor of Jesus. That's basically what it was. It was a precursor of Jesus, this lamb right here. So when we go back to Isaiah, I'm going to go back to Isaiah. The Lord have laid upon him the iniquity of us all. We can go back and just show you just from Corinthians that Jesus was that rock. That rock was Christ. And let's go one more place. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. And let's see who that Passover lamb was. 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump as ye are leavened. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. So we could look that even in the 10th chapter, he's that spiritual rock. We can go back and show you that the Lord laid upon him the iniquity of us all, how he was bruised for our iniquities. He is that lamb of the slaughter. So when you look at this and see that he is the Passover lamb, we can simply go back to John, the 19th chapter. And you could see in verse 31, the Jews, because it was a preparation of the day that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. Let me just go ahead and say that that Sabbath day that they're talking about is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And they came and took Jesus. And let's find out what happened when Joseph of Arimathea wanted to get the body down. Let's read this. And after this, after they realized that he was dead because he died and he gave up the ghost, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he may take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him. He came therefore, took the body of Jesus, and there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 500 pound weight, or about 100 pound weight, I'm sorry. But listen to what they did. They took the body of Jesus and wound it in linen clothes with the spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man laid. There laid they Jesus, therefore, listen to this, they laid him in there because of the Jews' preparation day. And the sepulchre was nigh at hand. It was very close where they took his body, and this sepulchre was very close, and they put it there because of the Jews' preparation day. Not Friday. It was on a Wednesday. Because we can simply go all the way back to Daniel, the 9th chapter. Let's go all the way back there. Daniel, the 9th chapter. And look at here. And he shall confirm the covenant with 1 week. The covenant is, brothers and sisters, is that Jesus would cause the sacrificing of animals in the atonement. He would be that Passover. It would be his blood that would be shed for the remission of our sins. The Lord laid upon him the iniquity of us all. And he's going to do that. But in the midst of the week, he's going to cause the sacrifice, the oblation, the sacrifices and the oblation to cease. Now let's go back right here and show you that in Daniel 9 and 27, you got 7 days. The middle number of 7 is right here. It's 4. That's what it is. And that's commonly called Wednesday. So he was in the grave from Wednesday. And before I show that to you, let's bring out something else. I want to bring out the fact that he gave up the ghost in the 9th hour. I want to show that to you. All right? And why the 9th hour? What does that mean, the 9th hour? Okay? So let's go to Mark. The book of Mark. Let's go back to our scriptures. And let's go to Mark. This is one of the scriptures that we can find this in. Mark, the 15th chapter. And in particular, we're going to go down. Just to show you where we are. This is, and look at verse 15. And so Pilate, willing to content the people, released Barabbas unto them and delivered Jesus. And when he had scourged him, to be crucified. So we know Jesus is getting ready to be crucified. And we know that that was on the day of Passover, because we read in 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, Jesus, our Passover that was sacrificed, right? But let's skip down to verse number 34. 34. And the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Okay? So let's look at verse number 37. He cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. That means he died. And that was the 9th hour. Let's look at the sun. In that time, it was during the what we call the spring equinox. Spring equinox is when they call it the equinox because there's an equal amount of hours of daylight and an equal to the same amount of hours of darkness. So they call it the equinox. Equal is where that comes from. So being, if we was to look at 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun comes up. 7 o'clock would be the first hour of the day. 9 o'clock would be the third hour of the day. If you remember the scriptures, they took Jesus and he went there, and it was they started dealing with him at the third hour of the day. All right, but we just read that he gave up the ghost in the third hour of the day, the 9th hour of the day. Then if you think you know what time the 9th hour would be, put that in the chat room. Put that in the chat room. Somebody put in what you think the 9th hour of the day. What time would that be? Approximately. Okay? Put that in the chat room. All right? Now, let's look at a scripture to go with that. Back in, we'll leave us in Mark, but I want to go back to the 15th chapter, and I want to look at verse 25. And it was the third hour, and they crucified him. Okay? They crucified him. Third hour of the day. So, yes. Everybody's right in the chat room. Yes. 3 o'clock p.m. That's what time the 9th hour of the day is. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Because there's been 9 hours of daylight. And if you would look that the sun come up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and if they begin to crucify him on the third hour of the day, somebody put in the chat room, what time would the third hour of the day be? The third hour of the day. Put that in the chat room. So assuming that 7 o'clock would be the first hour, 8 o'clock, what's the third hour? And you all pretty much got that right. If you're putting that in as 9 o'clock, you got it. All right, Ebony says, I got it. All right, that's it. That's right, that's it. Okay, because it's the 9th hour of the day. And you got it right, Brother Brian. It's about 9 o'clock. The third hour of the day would be about 3 hours of daylight. So if 6 o'clock is when the sun came up, and it's the third hour of the day, and they begin to go through this process of his passion, the third hour will be at 9 o'clock in the morning. But remember, there's a lot of things that took place. All right? A lot of things that took place. All right? I'm not going to read it, but listen to this. When the 6th hour was come, there was darkness over the whole land until the what time? 9th hour. So the 6th hour, if being that the sun, if it came up at 6 o'clock in the morning, the 6th hour of the day would be noon. But what happened at noon? There was darkness, an eclipse, and that lasted for 3 hours. For 3 hours, there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour, which is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So from 12 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there was darkness. But look at what happened at the 9th hour, which is once that ended. The 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And if we skip down to verse number 37, he cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. He died. Joseph of Arimathea comes. Let's go back. Let's go back to John, the 19th chapter. Joseph comes and he wants this body and he wants to take it off so that the body is not on the cross. Listen to this. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. I'm not going to go into the part where curses everyone that hangs on the tree. Pastor Bowie is going to bring that out in the lessons this weekend. But I just wanted to let you know there's a reason why that body could not remain upon the cross. And so that the body did not remain on the cross, because after 3 o'clock, brothers and sisters, or the 9th hour of the day, that sun is starting to go down. So the Jews, because it was the preparation day, the bodies, once that sun goes down on the 14th, it will start the 15th, which is the Sabbath. That's what everybody missed. They missed that total understanding. So they just assumed that it was the 7th day of the week and that the body had to come off the cross on the preparation day, being the Friday. So therefore the whole world says Good Friday. Therefore we know it was really Wednesday. That's when it was. And I being facetious, said Good Wednesday versus Good Friday. But it was a Wednesday. Now, let's just keep going. I'm going all the way down here where it went back in. There laid they Jesus, therefore, because of the Jews' preparation day, and the sepulchre was at hand. So what are you saying, Pastor Johnson? I want to show you some things here, brothers and sisters, that Jesus often said that in 3 days he was going to rise again. So let's go look at some of those scriptures. Let's go to Matthew 12 and 40. Matthew 12 and 40, when they asked Jesus for a sign, look at what Jesus said. And he says, you know, an evil and adulterous generation seek after a sign. But this is what I'm going to tell you. Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall be no sign given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. So this is what I'm going to give you all. Here's what I'm going to give you all. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights. Let's stop right there. We got to just highlight this for a second and talk about it. As Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights. When you go back and read the book of Jonah, how long Jonah was in the belly of this great big fish, it was 3 days and 3 nights. Why did they say 3 days and 3 nights? Because they want to let you know that it must be a complete 72-hour process. It must be 3 days, 3 24-hour consecutive periods, which is 3 times 4, which is 72. He must be in the grave. So he says, for as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That's where he was going to be at, brothers and sisters. Let's go to the 16th chapter, 4 chapters later in the book of Matthew, Matthew the 16th chapter. And look at what Jesus said. And we're going to pick it up in verse 21. From that time forth, Jesus began to show unto his disciples how he must go up to Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed. But, listen to this, and be raised again the third day. Very clear, very specific. Let's go over one more chapter, to chapter 17. Matthew, the 17th chapter. And let's look at this again, what Jesus said. And while they abode in Galilee, Jesus said unto them, the Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men. They shall kill him, and listen to this, and the third day he shall rise again. And they were exceedingly sorrowful. Let's just keep going. Let's take it to the 20th chapter. The 20th chapter. Right here in the book of Matthew. And let's pick it up, brothers and sisters, in verse number 17. And Jesus, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples apart in the way. And he said unto them, behold, we go up to Jerusalem, the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death, and shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock, and to scourge, and to crucify him. But listen to this. And the third day he shall rise again. Very specific, brothers and sisters. Let's just jump over to the book of Mark. Let's just jump over to the book of Mark, and let's pick it up in chapter 8. Chapter 8. He said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? You can go back. Let's go back to verse 27. And Jesus went out and his disciples into the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, who do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others one of the prophets. I'm going to skip down. Let's just keep reading. And he said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Peter answered and said unto him, thou art the Christ, you are the Messiah. And he charged them that they should tell no man of him. But listen to this. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. Let's go over to the 9th chapter. Same thing. 9th chapter, I just want to read it, verse 30. And they departed thence and passed through Galilee, and he would not that any man should know it. For he taught his disciples and said unto them, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and after that he is killed, he shall rise the third day. But listen to this. But they understood not that saying, and were afraid to ask. So they didn't quite get it yet, but they're going to get it. So let's go back over to this nice little chart we got. Daniel 9 and 27. Jesus is going to be killed. We know it's going to be in the midst of the week. And we know that in 3 days and 3 nights, he's going to rise again. So he's placed in the grave before sunset, because we read that Joseph of Arimathea, that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath. They took his body and put it in the grave. We read that. This particular midst of the week happened to be Passover, the 14th day. The 15th is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a Sabbath. So they took him and hurried up and got him off and put him in the grave before sunset. Because we also read that it was the 9th hour of the day when he yielded up the ghost, said it is finished, and he died. 3 o'clock, 9th hour of the day. So therefore, here comes Joseph and Nicodemus. They took the body and they put it in the grave. So let's look at this. So on Thursday, before sunset, would be 1 day and 1 night. Friday, before sunset, would be 2 days and 2 nights. On the weekly Sabbath, the 3rd day before sunset, because he was placed in the grave before sunset, he's going to resurrect before sunset. Jesus, therefore, resurrected 3 days and 3 nights later, 24 hours from this time period to this time period is 1 day and 1 night. Another 24 hours, which is a total of 48 hours, is 2 days and 2 nights. And brothers and sisters, here is 3 days and 3 nights. Jesus resurrected on the Sabbath before the sun went down. Before the sun went down. Now, therefore, when pastors are teaching that Jesus rose on a Sunday, let's go to the scriptures and find out. Let's go to Matthew, the 28th chapter. Let's go read Matthew 28, verse 1. Listen to what it says. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. I'm not going to read all of this, but look at what they were told. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that you seek Jesus, which was crucified. Now we know that this is the end of the Sabbath as it's getting to the first day of the week. But listen to this. Listen to what the angels say. He is not here. He's not here. He is risen. He's not here. This is what the angels saying to them. The angels answer, I know that you're looking for Jesus, the one that was killed. The one that was killed in the middle of the week. The one that was killed and whose body was taken off, for that day was a preparation day before the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which was on the Thursday. And Daniel 9:27 said he would be killed on a Wednesday, the midst of the weeks. And that's how come we know Passover was the 14th day. That same Jesus, he's not here. He is risen. Come see the place where the Lord lay. And go quickly. Tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. Didn't Jesus say that in 3 days and on the 3rd day, I'm going to be gone? He was already gone. That's why the angel says he's not here. He's risen. Let's go to the book of Mark, the book of Mark. And we're going to go to the 16th chapter. Listen to this. When the Sabbath was past, when the Sabbath was over, here comes Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome. They brought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came to the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. They said among themselves, Who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, past tense. It was great. It was already done. What did they do next? And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment. And they were afraid. That was the angel, as we just read in the book of Matthew. And what did he say in verse number 6? He said unto them, Be not frightened. Ye seek Jesus of Nazareth. You looking for Jesus, the one that was crucified. But guess what? He is risen. He is not here. behold the place where they laid him. In fact, go and tell the disciples and let them know that Jesus was not here. Let's go to the book of Luke. Let's go to the book of Luke. And let's go to the 24th chapter of the book of Luke. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came to the sepulchre, bringing spices, which they had prepared, and certain others with them. And they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre. Why is it found rolled away? Because Jesus had resurrected on the Sabbath before the sun went down. And listen to what happened here. They entered in and found not the body of the Lord Jesus. And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. And they were afraid, and they bowed down in their faces to the earth. And they said unto them, why seek ye the living among the dead? Guess what? He's not here. He is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee, saying that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, be crucified, and what? The third day rise again. Let's go back. What day was Jesus placed into the hands of sinful men? On a Wednesday. Third day, he was going to rise again. Day 1, day 2, day 3, before the sun set, Jesus was already gone. So therefore, brothers and sisters, when people tell you that the first day of the week is the new Christian Sabbath because Jesus rose on Sunday, no ma'am, no sir. Not according to this Bible, not according to the scriptures, do we find that anywhere. And that's why a lesson like this is so important for you to grasp and understand. Share it with somebody. Give it to your family members. Let them look at it. Let them beat up on me. Not really me. They got to deal with these scriptures here. So we wanted to give this to you tonight. We wanted to give it to you tonight so you could have it and so you can understand why, when the whole world starts to be dealing with Good Friday, and this is Good Friday service, the error in which they made was they think that that preparation day was the day before the weekly Sabbath, because they don't know that the Feast of Unleavened Bread, being the 15th day, the day before that was the preparation day, and that Jesus was the Passover. He was that Passover. And always give them this scripture here, 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Let's go back and look at it one more time. 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7, what does it say? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover. That's who our Passover is now. He was killed on Passover. He was killed in that year on the 14th, which fell on, according to Daniel, the middle of the week. 3 days and 3 nights later, there you go. So brothers and sisters, it's just that simple. And this would take the concept out of people trying to justify Sunday as being the Sabbath. They would tell you that's why the Sabbath was changed, because Jesus resurrected on a Sunday. No ma'am, no sir. Don't forget Friday night, 8 o'clock, South Florida. All you all come on in. We're going to be starting service at 8 o'clock. The doors will open up at 7:30. And we're going to be having a good time taking this Passover. And on Sunday at 1 o'clock, service will start, and we're going to be partaking in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which will be, Sunday will be the 15th day. And it is a Sabbath. It's a holy convocation. We'll be coming in. So come on in and have a good time. And we're going to be just enjoying the fellowship one with the other. All right? That being said, brothers and sisters, Brother Johnson, IOG, Fort Lauderdale, peace and blessings to all of you all. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for being a part of this lesson. I know I haven't been on in a while because, let me just say this to you because you deserve to know. What happened, your computer sometimes needs to be, there's upgrades, there's downloads that you have to do, updates that you have to do. And I kind of lost track of that traveling and all like that. And it didn't work a few weeks ago. So we got that part together. And thank all of you all for bearing with us. Shout out to Fort Lauderdale, IOG, and shout out to Orlando. Shout out to every last one of you, wherever you may be, tuning in to this lesson tonight. God bless you. Peace and blessings. Have a great night.